Good morning, gardening friends. Today is Sunday, the 29th of October. And it's a very cool morning. Dew is dripping off of everything. We haven't had any rain for a couple of weeks now, so I'm thankful for every drop of dew. I will be watering a little bit later today. I thought I'd start in the back corner of the garden today. There you can see my bottle brush with dew all over it. Back in here, it's very open now that the holly has been cut back. I don't think I mentioned that I'm saving that holly. I am going to cut that holly back to match the size of the one that I just showed you, but I thought rather than waste all of that holly, I would cut the holly and use it for Christmas. I have been working on aspidistras. I've got about 90% of the aspidistras cleaned up in my yard, front and back. I have a little bit more to do around in this little inner courtyard area. Here you can see the kumquats are starting to ripen. I cleaned out this area around my knockout rose, the new one, so it has some breathing room. I did notice my Cassia is sending up blooms. Not going to be quite as spectacular as last year, but it is sending up blooms nonetheless. My hens and chicks look pitiful because the birds have taken to nipping them. They don't touch the original ones, but for some reason they like the sedums that I bought. Well, they're not really sedums, but they like the succulents that I bought. Here's a close-up of the lady palm, and it's doing well. I'm coming back in here because I have two Sasanquas that are blooming, and this is one of them. I don't remember the name of it, but it is a pink variety, and as you can see, it is a single. It has some other blossoms that are over the top of the fence. Oh, there's baby. Yeah, I see you. Got to be careful getting out of here. Okay. An animal was visiting last night. I guess I can't really blame them for coming here and getting out my water because it is so dry. But everything is still green and lush looking. Certainly the aspidistras are looking better. And I have to admit, what I did do with the aspidistras is where they're really thick, I just yank out the dead leaves or the brown leaves. And where they're a little on the thin side, what I'll do is just cut the tip of the branch off. Because I got to thinking this is really not the best time of the year to strip back an aspidistra because it gets its new leaves in the spring. So you wind up with nothing in the garden for a long period of time. I did expose these ligularia, and the new one has a little flower stalk coming. And the old one did not grow all that tall this year. Maybe I'll fertilize them. But it has a stalk as well. Miss Mimi is outside. She is beside herself. because due to the influx of the wild animals, we apparently have a slight flea issue. So Miss Mimi has her flea ointment, and I've sprayed all the carpets in the house. I saw one flea on her, but I don't want to wait for it to get really bad, so I sprayed all the carpets and everything in the house. And Miss Mimi, I guess, can smell the spray, and she sits on the one chair that I did not spray. But that is one of the benefits of attracting wildlife. I'm kind of getting sick of some of the gardening programs that say, oh, I want to attract wildlife to my garden. Do you? Do you really? Think about what comes with those wild animals. But in any event, I don't want to digress too far. Here you see a couple of blossoms on my golden chalice vine. I probably won't be eating that lettuce because I had forgotten I had food crops out here when I sprayed the deck for fleas. What I will do is I will spray the deck. I've already done the deck, all the decks. And what I will do is go ahead and spray all the grass. I don't want to spray my flower beds because I do like to have some wildlife in them, bugs and like that. Here's an aspidistra that I accidentally yanked out because of this spot. Well, I purposely yanked it out. But what I wanted to show you is, for those of you that have never seen one, this is an aspidistra blossom. That's how they bloom, and they're blooming this time of the year. So I went ahead and potted this up, and when that blossom opens up, I will do a short on it just to show you what it looks like. But it basically is going to open up and it'll look like a little pinkish white star flower. Needless to say, when it's only coming up an inch or so out of the ground, you will never see it. The only time I really ever noticed it bloom was when I first got my aspidistras and planted them in a row like soldiers, and you kind of can see the roots. But when you can't see the roots, you're not going to really pay attention to the flowers. Here's the progress on the paper whites. I'm going to start putting them in more light. This side, the taller side, was the side facing the light. So it's time to go ahead and start putting them in brighter light. Not sunshine, but at least brighter light. Not much difference of things out here. I am debating on this nepenthes because it has this one really long stalk. I'm debating whether to keep that long stalk because I counted and there are 7 other branches within that mound that will send out long stalks like that. But it still looks so healthy that I'm going to leave it for now. The Sarracenias are greening up a little bit. I'm not expecting much for the winters. I probably will bring them inside. Let's see. Miss Mimi, you want to go inside the house? Come on. Go ahead. Okay. The bougainvillea is in bloom again. And here's a close-up of the butterfly ginger. The fragrance is really, really sweet right here. This is an area I need to untangle and get at some of the aspidistra in the back. But here you can see the toad lilies are pretty much still blooming. They have kind of an odd tip to them. They're a unique plant. They're not very big though. If you put your finger next to them, they're small. And something's been digging back here. I'll need to go ahead and figure out where they're coming in. This little garden bed has come together nicely. The daylilies, I'm real pleased with them growing this year. It seems like since I put this alyssum down, it stopped the birds from pecking at that particular plant, but you can see they're still eating it. And my pansies in pots are doing well. Remember I told you last year that those pansies, the flowers face the sun. So since this is a southern exposure, they face the front. If I planted them over here, this is a northern exposure, they basically wouldn't bloom at all in these pots. I've tried in past years. These greens are spider lilies that are going to save energy for next year. Here you can see the red pansies. Kind of looks nice here, this little cluster. The yellow really stands out from a distance. Looks really good. See, I have a lot of buds on my lily of the valley bush. I moved my bottle tree over here, mainly because that's my dining room window over there, and I wanted to see some color. This is a very shady corner because of the fence, so that blue really stands out nicely. And it didn't really look all that good by the street, so it looks better here. My satsumas, I may actually try one this week. They still have a little bit of green to them. It looks like the coleus are sprouting that I cut back. These are the paper whites from last year. They do come back. They don't always rebloom the first year, so we'll have to wait and see what they do. Here you can see the Australian tree fern is still looking good. Not too much has changed. Back, I forgot. My second Sasanquas, white dove, is in bloom. These are absolutely gorgeous. No fragrance. So I have two of my Sasanquas are in bloom now. Yay! First ones of the year. I decided to leave the yellow in the banana trees, especially now that the Cassia is in full bloom. And here you can see the flowers of the Cassia. They have no fragrance, but they are gorgeous. It is a floppy tree. And I did finish up cleaning up all of my aspidistra in the front. Oh, I see it. Got so heavy it broke the little rope I had tying it to the stake. So I'll have to get another piece of string so it doesn't snap in the breeze. But they will bloom until the first frost hits them, and they will die back. Out front, I need to water, but the pansies are looking good. And here you can see the aspidistras have been cleaned up nicely, or at least as clean as they're going to get. So the corner is coming together. I am going to be reworking the bed. I had a couple of nandinas, one here and one on the other side of the corner. that were taken out because I want to put something else in its place. Haven't quite figured out what it is yet. Here's where the pansies really look the best. And remember, as I said, this is a southern exposure, so all of the pansies face to the front, which is always nice. And my sweet williams are still blooming. I may get more to put at the corner. I'm not certain. I haven't had space in such a long time. And now that the road has been finished and the sidewalks are finished, oh, there's baby. So obviously there's a hole under the fence somewhere there I have to patch. But what was I saying? Oh, I can put anything I want now in the front. Before I wasn't certain how much, if any, of my property would be taken up if they expanded the road. And so I was reluctant to put anything of major value in the front. But now that it's done, I can. That Nandina used to be part of a huge clump, which I thinned down to one. And I like the way it kind of now exposes the cycad. And I like the thought of keeping the yellow plant, that I can't think of the name right now, where it is. It, of course, will freeze back to the ground, and Cassia, and it'll start small again next year. But what I'm toying with is, not toying with, I am going to put something large in behind, probably about where the hydrangea is. That hydrangea has not performed well, and the easiest solution would be to stick it in that pot and put that loropetalum in the ground over there, because that loropetalum, once in the ground, will get large and thick, and it stays evergreen and would give me a good screen. I kind of need screening from the street right there. So I'm not certain that's going to happen. Other option is I have another one of these Mediterranean fan palms in the backyard, and that's option number 2, is to put a Mediterranean fan palm there. It's the one back by the garage where I keep my tools, the back side of the garage. Here you can see flowers on my rosemary. I do like this bed, and I guess it's good that I like it because it's all perennial and it'll be like that for a few years. I do need to clean up in here this week. That'll be the plan for the week. Everything is so dry, though, I definitely have to water. There you can see over the top of the fence. That was my first view of that Sasanquas blooming. Lots of flower buds on the camellias over here. These had buds last year, but they bloomed the latest, and the frost got them, so we'll see what happens. So lots of buds on all the camellias. We'll just have to wait and see what happens. But that's about it for the day. And I'll leave you with a picture of my Cassia. It's the highlight plant of the week. Have a good week, and I'll see you again soon.